Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friday trading session. Welcome on this crazy market of a week. It's been a crazy market, ladies and gentlemen. I should say that it's been a ridiculously crazy market. I hope you're staying safe. Very volatile market. A lot has been happening lately, but we don't seem to be having any moves. So I will be very careful and just mark up the day trading. Then we speak about a lot of things that are happening on the market. Just gonna mark this just to keep track of where we are and what I'm looking for. There we go. Okay, so let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget to like and subscribe as you're joining. I hope you're safe on this ridiculously crazy market. Um, I think it's fair for me to say it's been tough. But fortunately or unfortunately, I got a long trade here. I have a long trade on AUD CAD. And if you can go back, I didn't explain how I got the trade, but this was purely because the Australian Reserve Bank seemed to be very restrictive. We have inflation at 3.8%, inflation moving out of the way. So that has been a big issue in Australia. So the Reserve Bank, chances that they have decided to say, look, it's better for them to be a bit more restrictive with their monetary policy, and that means they will increase interest rates. And we've seen an increase in interest rate, while when you looked at the Canadian dollar, it's a bit stagnant. Lower jobs data came out well, but all this data, I'm not thumb sucking it. Unfortunately, I was also looking for NZDJPY. Unfortunately, I was looking for lower prices. It just rotated all the way up. But we know how to start the show, guys. Let's start with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. I know it's a crazy market, so sometimes we just jump the gun and uh, get into things that we are not supposed to get into first. So, what am I doing? What am I doing? There we go. Okay, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. I know I am a bit confused. Sorry about that. Let me delete this. There we go. So, let's start with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. That's how we normally start our stream. Let's look at the financial space, and we start with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. With the Johannesburg Stock Exchange on a Friday, on a Friday, on the top gainers, we have Anglo Ashanti, which is up 4.6%. M10 Group, it's up 4.66 as well. Goldfish up 4.6 as well. Sasol's up 3%. Bid Corporation is up 2.54%. While top losers of Glencore, which is down 2.4. Impala is down 2.2. RMB Holdings down 2.1. And BHP Group is down 1.8. And Anglo American is down 1.56. With the Johannesburg Stock Exchange top 40, the SA top 40, which is up 1.37% for the Friday trading session. So that was the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But it should be very critical. Just note that today we had a Canadian unemployment rate, which came out quite low. But for some reason, the Canadian stock, comparing the Canadian macros with the Australian, it favors the Australian one. We also had prelim. Sorry, We also had prelim UIM inflation expectations that we had today. But let's get into speaking about other interesting things for the day. So, Wall Street bounces back strongly after a tech rot. Dow Jones edges 1,000% for the day. So let's just look at the indices, which they have rebounded after a massive days of losing lately. The first one was Dow Jones are back at the all-time high, which was a very good move for Dow Jones, which is for today it's up 2.46%, while S&P 500 followed suit, which is up 2.2%. Nasdaq it's up 2.67%, starting to follow suit as well, and Russell is up 3%. So it looks like the the the, the stock market it's rebounding for it's rebounding after a massive loss that it had for the previous 2 days, which is good news for the indices holders and the holders of the stock market. But there's a lot that we can discuss and a lot that we can look into. But let's just quickly look at when you look at Russell, which is up 2.7%, it generated the support. Also, there was not any directive biasness for me in terms of micros, but also when you look at also Nasdaq, it's also switch a bit. It's also up 2.65%, holding the support as well. So let's see what's gonna happen. And one thing which I found it interesting. Oh, come on. Nasdaq has just retested the 200 MA. It held on the 200 MA, which is very, very, very interesting. If you start to give me a bullish reading, perhaps I'll look to jump into it. Uh, so Dow Jones is held the 50 MA. So overall, we are still bullish in the stock market. Um, and really, you will be wanting to see moves like this with gold as well rebounding. And I spoke about gold yesterday. You can go watch the video on YouTube. Also, I made a comment, but I'll also show you where you could possibly join me sometimes and look at my potential trades and what I'm looking for in my newsletter, what I've been looking for, and all those other interesting topics that I intend to cover with um, with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Uh, why, my friend? Why don't you open? Shut down this. Okay, that's fine. You can go take Google. You are crazy. No, because I don't want. Yes, I'm fine. You go take yourself. This young boys. Trumpo. Okay. So S&P 500 is still bearish, Euro AUD is still bearish. So I've learned a lot of bullishness in the indices side. Also, we don't even have forex pairs that are bullish. What's interesting is the USD JPY. The dollar has gained a bit of strength against the Japanese yen. I will be very careful in short in longing this. Yes, technicals are looking to make sense, but I'll be very careful in longing that. Uh, but I just wanted to speak about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has been the biggest loss lately, with Bitcoin down, even though it looks like it's rebounding, but honestly, it's not rebound. Sorry. Bitcoin held the support for the 60,000. It held the 60,000 psychological price, and it looks to rebound, but I don't think it will hold. We are totally in the bearish market for Bitcoin. However, when you look at Bitcoin, we look to be retesting the 60,000 mark. We just retested it and will seem to be rejecting from there. Weekly, we retested on the 200 MA. Will this be the rebound of Bitcoin? I don't know, man. The 80, the ETF has not done good for Bitcoin lately. The Bitcoin ETF or crypto ETF has not done well for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been taking a hit, and for today, Bitcoin is up a whipping 11% on a Friday trading session. However, we seem to be on a bearish market, and there is speaking about Bitcoin, there is an idea that Bitcoin it's um it's a hedge against inflation, for which I beg to differ, because for me, every single time inflation is an issue, there's so much uncertainty in the market, we tend to see Bitcoin going down with indices. And to me, Bitcoin, it seems to be a risk on asset than a hedge against inflation and a safe haven. I personally feel like that. And the introductions of ETFs are not doing Bitcoin any favors, because the introduction of ETFs are being a problem to Bitcoin, because now you have so much volatility in the market coming through. Uh, ETF that are tracking Bitcoin tends to push Bitcoin with it to either to the upside or to the downside. So these are the things that I started noticing about Bitcoin. We could look around and speak about the hedge finder, and the hedge finder clearly show us this ratio. Uh, where is this ratio? I hope I find it. I hope I find it. It's been a while without looking at the ratio. Bitcoin to gold ratio. Where is it? Where is it? Data scanners, gold and silver scanner, forex scanner. Oh God, I've not looked at Bitcoin to gold ratio, put to core ratio. But for me, Bitcoin is not a hedge against inflation. Okay. Okay, I'm not finding the thing, but uh, let me do this asset scanner. Anyway, I'm not finding the Bitcoin gold to Bitcoin ratio that Edge Finder has, but I would have loved to have it, because for me, Bitcoin, I don't feel like it's a hedge against inflation. I don't think it's a hedge against inflation. And when you look at Bitcoin in terms of macros, it's a direct indication that yes, when you look at economic growth, still favor it, because risk Bitcoin, it's a risk on asset. But when you look at jobs data, it's favoring it to the downside, because labor data is a problem. And such things, you see it on Nasdaq, where uh, Bitcoin basically started against the dollar, if it makes sense. And also, you look at the technicals, 250, 100, and 200 MA has flipped bearish, which Are we officially on the bearish market for Bitcoin? I don't know. I'm not the one to call doomsday, but I'm a bit careful with Bitcoin right now. As much as the hedge fund is giving me a bearish reading, I mean a neutral reading than a bearish reading. I would have loved to honestly get my Bitcoin to, let me think, the Bitcoin to gold to Bitcoin ratio. But the hedge fund always changes. Micro scanners, I think it's not a put to call ratio, man. Not a put to call ratio. Here we go. Hey, risk on and risk off ratios. Okay, here. Uh, Look at that. So the white line is a Bitcoin, and you look at where we are on risk on. Bitcoin is a bit bullish, it's bit bullish. So we tend to see them moving slightly proportional to one another. However, Bitcoin, it's not. Uh, Personally, I feel like Bitcoin is not a hedge against inflation. It's not a hedge against uncertainty in the market. It moves with, it's a risk on asset. You get a move where Bitcoin is 2000, where if we were to look at when it started, when we were highly high risk, is 287. So this, look, for me, that shows you that they look like they're directly proportional, but not entirely. Yes, Bitcoin is a bit volatile. You look at gold as as we move to, how do I explain this? I want to explain this in a way that makes sense. So as we move lower, it's an indication of risk off, right? Where sometimes you have thus massive moves here, which are an indication of risk off. And look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin. It's moving with that move directly. When we are risk on, you start to see gold that continue. But yeah, I don't know if it makes sense. Maybe I can't explain the scenario properly. But Bitcoin, it's been taking a hit lately. There's no move in the market today. There's no move in the market today. There's no movement, man. Oh, anyway, God, there's no movement in the market. But so Bitcoin has been taking a hit. That's all what's critical for me to explain that Bitcoin have been taking a risk. And yeah, and weirdly, Nasdaq has been doing well. Um, risk on has been doing well. But, and the reason for being like this will be coming in from the fact that gold, Bitcoin ETFs are increasing volatility in the market, and that alone becomes people get margin called. So it's crazy there. It's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. Uh, so I have a question to ask. Is the dollar bulls back? Are the dollar bulls back? Uh, I'm really interested to see if are the dollar bulls back. Are the dollar bulls back, man? Let's look at the dollar. I know I'm a bit disoriented. Are the dollar bulls back? We're holding the 200 MA here. But the question still stands. Are we starting to see the bulls coming back for the dollar currency, and why? I don't say, look, we could hold that support and we start coming lower, honestly. So I'm not gonna hold my guts to it. I'm really not gonna hold my guts to it. Though what's interesting is we're seeing USD JPY bullish, for which that could be something that can hold that support. I'm not even gonna attempt to go long yet. This is ridiculously recovering all the losses slowly, but it can change instantly with so much volatility. When you look at VIX, when you look at the volatility index, it's coming down. Sometimes we get the spikes, come back, we got another spike. So we are down again to about 19 or so. Well, earlier on the day we're up 21. So the VIX is starting to come down. A lot of relaxation coming through. into the market. So that's what you want to see, a bit of stability, because a lot is happening. So I'm not even going to attempt to say there is something that I'm looking for besides the trade that I'm in. Let me see if this thing can allow me to open the trade. What's up, better? So a lot is happening, man. I think one thing which I should remind you guys is before this current trade that I'm in, I've taken 2 losses, and doesn't mean the trade will go well with me. For me, doesn't mean that at all. I don't know if it will allow me to. Angazi. Let's see. Okay, let me share my trade with you. Let's see if I can show you the long trade that I have. Uh, let's see if I can show you. So here's the trade. Um, this is how I got it. I need to check this one. So this is a trade that I took. To be fair, I've taken 2 losses before this trade. So sometimes when a trade look like this, it feels nice, but so oh god, I'm tired. So this is a trade. So as I was saying, I think I'm tired. It's a Friday. So on the flip side, I guess there's a trade that it looks clean, it looks good for today. Um, but in hindsight, this could be a perfect trade, right? You look for the high, and in fact, you could even move take profit higher and start trading stop losses. But everything will be determined on how the move is. But generally, as I said, and I think I've discussed this earlier. The Australian dollar is a strong currency currently. Uh, they're increasing rates. Inflation is a problem in the country. Now, the Australian Reserve Bank has to be restrictive. So, since they have to be restrictive, that pushes the currency higher. They're printing money. They're putting money into the economy. Uh, sorry, they are being restrictive. They're reducing money into economy, increasing rates, and they'll still continue increasing rates. But but already for the first quarter, they've already increased, but they'll continue increasing rates given the fact that um, as long as inflation is a problem, I don't know if that makes sense. As long as inflation is still a problem, they will continue increasing rates. So getting a trade like this looks nice and clean. Look, but I've taken two losses straight up. I don't even want to look at after taking a loss what happened to that market. One of them was a GPP cat. Um, was a GPP cat trade that dismally failed. I wanted to re-enter this yesterday, but on the edge finder is not there. It's not giving any. It's not giving any bullishness. So I don't see a need of going long on it. I don't see a need for going long because if it was bullish on edge finder, perhaps I could look too long at. But edge finder is not giving me any confirmation with it. Uh, so day trading, I don't think there will be any trade today. But I'm gonna call it a strip early. So we have NZDK that is bullish, AUDJPY. I'll love an AUDJPY to be honest, and an NZDJPY. GJ is also bullish. Yeah, I think so. I'm looking to long add more position on Australian currency, and then AUDJPY is the one that is bullish. And when you look at the technical, fairly, uh, they're a bit stretched, man. I was hoping to go back all the way down, but the dude decided not to come back to where I wanted it. In hindsight, I'm like, why did you go long there? But I felt like that's not where I wanted to go long. And the DJPY also missed that, just continued. So yeah, sometimes you have such moves, man. You'll be like, I should have, could have, but I still look for lower prices for me to go long on NZDK. So there's nothing much happening on the forex side besides the Australia currency being strong, and I'm gonna continue looking for that strong news. One thing which I also wanted you guys to note of was that so. Why? Something is off. Something is off. Okay. Don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe. You know, when you are running a stream alone, it's difficult. I should say it's extremely difficult. You are multitasking. Sometimes you forget to open the mic. I thought it would be easy, but it's not at all. Is it? What the hell is happening? What did I miss? So, guys, follow me on Facebook. I also, it's more like in my newsletter. So, when you go to Facebook, Does it want me to open it? What the hell's opening it? See what I was talking about. It just throws me out of other stuff when I hear it. Anyway, I think I won't speak about it, but it's fine. I'll speak about it on another live because this thing is locked me out. Here we go. Yeah, this thing is crazy. Here we go. So you can check me out on Facebook, Agora Capital. So I literally document my stuff as to what I'm looking for. Let me see if I spoke about Australian dollar. Uh, yeah, just after the FOMC meeting, I spoke about it, but I said AUDUSD bullish buyers waiting for adjustment to enter. So on the other hand, the Reserve Bank of Australia is expected to remain restrictive and hawkish following the release of strong CPI data at 3.8%. This strengthened the Australian dollar, creating a clear micro divergence risk against the dollar, but eventually I took a trade on Canadian because Canadian was more weaker and the technical made sense. So I do document my ideas and what I'm looking for. As for now, also before that, I spoke about the Australian CPI coming through, for which came it out very hot, and I discussed that. So I do discuss my ideas and what I'm looking for. So you can check that. You can also check out this Facebook, I think, as a news, form of newsletter for you guys at what I'm looking for. And I've already executed, but now I'm on the sideline. I'm having that trade that I took, and that I'm sitting on the sideline. Nothing much is happening. So it's interesting to have such things where you document your plan and what you're looking for. Because when it works out, it looks clean. Because getting such a trade, it looks nice, but this thing can even start from there and come back and retest these areas. So you should be just careful as to now I have to manage this trade properly. I'm just looking at this move. Yeah? Perhaps I could move my stop loss here, secure profit, but I'll think about it. I'll look overall micros are bullish. Around achievement micros are overall bullish. And I can even show you looking at the economic heat map. Let's look at the economic heat map. Let's look at the economic heat map. Let's look at Canadian. So Canadian, look, sometimes these divergences are weird. Look at the Canadian dollar. It looks bullish, but in comparison to the Australian one. Here, one thing we need to note, it's inflation. Yes, it's increasing. However, it's a bit stable comparing to the Reserve Bank, to the Australian one. Uh, Unemployment rate coming down, PMI, it's coming down. Yeah, PMI came down as well by a percent. A bit of recovery. in the Canadian dollar, but comparing it to the Australian dollar. Look at that, 66%. And you look at the GDP growth, you look at CPI, we're still very bullish. The only problem is the GDP growth and PMI, which you could argue, but also inflation is bullish. So the only thing that are bearish is PMI, which came out cooler, that came out cooler, GDP growth, which is a bit of a problem. But overall, the Australian Reserve Bank are mainly focusing on on the inflation. So that is why this trade looks clean. Hold on, it's kept playing today. Okay, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. We're just gonna wait and see what's gonna happen. Yeah, let's see. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, on the day trading side, there's nothing much happening. I'm gonna call it a day here. I didn't even attempt to look for a trade today. Yeah, it's a boring month. It's a boring day. How many points did the evening move? Almost 63 points. And this morning, this evening, we've just moved only 9. Oh, wow. I'm not interested. For me, a trade would be a trade invasion of that and look for something like this, but I doubt it will happen. Maybe I'll be watching it from outside, guys. I doubt it will happen. I honestly doubt so. I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you so much for joining me. Fortunately, today we couldn't even speak about the day trading. We spoke about a lot. I need to get my house in order and I'll start to create more content. So you have to be pardon me and be patient with a gentleman like me. Other than that, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This was the Afro show, and a lot is coming from us. Have a great day. I love you all. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Follow our YouTube channel as our newsletter will be there. We'll be contemplating other things, but for now, let's talk about that. Other than that, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.